Hello, welcome to Babblegum. We just spent half an hour recording dead air.
Well, you probably have a number of fantastic GIFs.
GIFs? I do hope so. I do hope so. Maybe I'll release like a silent edition for our lip reader fan base. Oh man,
There's bound to be people out there.
there's bound to be lip readers out of
Put a bounty, like transcribe this entire video.
Well, I'm out of cash now, so
$5.
I'm out $5. If you can that's great. All right. Hello, welcome to Babblegum. My name is Simon Mui. Welcome to Babblegum. This is Graham with me on Babblegum, and today on Babblegum we'll be talking with Gray on Babblegum about who he is and what he does. So, what is it that you do?
You should really have a pack of bubble gum to give to people on your show.
I should, but you know I'm poor, so
I could afford you the bubble gum. I'm also poor, but relatively speaking, maybe I don't know.
Hold on.
Bank account number.
Hold on.
I'm just gonna just paranoia.
Yes. Okay. We should be good. We should be good to roll. All right.
Okay. Oh man,
So,
paranoia.
That's the thing in audio visual, right? I mean, if you're working in audio, it's fine, but when you go into audio visual, you just have to.
I mean, you could have a separate sound recorder just in case. So you have like this engineer's paranoia. You have duplication of systems just in case.
Maybe I should.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do when you're journalists and stuff. They have a video, they have a rig, and a sound recorder.
Okay. Well,
Go to the future.
no, for the future, I'll write that down. Maybe if I can save up money, who knows? Maybe I'll get tip on someday. So, what is it that you actually do? Because as far as I know, we're not sure what.
I'm curious, what was the first instance that you met me or got or found out about my existence? Introduce some context.
Adventures
Eventually,
I know that all aboard D&D, it was on 2014. Yeah, I was there doing the demo.
that's the first context. Okay, so I think we can start with the origin story from that point.
Okay,
So I think when I first came back from Malaysia, at the time I was already playing games. So there was no adventures league, there was nothing. So I think they searched which were the opening stores in the game. There was Rodney and French, and they were two separate stores. So I actually went out on my way to go meet both of them. How you did it, how you did it.
What year was it?
Based on my university. Was a global network of local coordinators, DMs in stores, and we're broken down to certain regions. So we fall under the Asia Pacific region. So I had to message the Asia Pacific guy, and he had to message the global coordinators, which was some of them were D&D staff or something. And eventually they kind of like said, there's no tests for this, by the way. Just whoever wants to volunteer. There was nobody in Southeast Asia, so I just volunteered. I go like, yeah, I want to be the Malaysia guy. So yeah, okay, sure, have it. And I just put your name on the wiki, and that's it. That's literally all there is. So then I just started like, talk to stores, try and get stores to like, do you want to do D&D? So I actually, because the Adventures League is, as you know, is organized play. So we had to go through the DCI stores or the Magic Gathering stores in Malaysia. A lot of them were very like no idea what I was talking about. So I spent like a whole year trying to educate stores on what D&D was, what the Adventures League is. Because
you spent 2014 doing this?
2015 actually. I came back in December 2014. So 2015 was me going around to stores telling people, hi, I'm the D&D Adventures League guy. Let me tell you what Adventures League is. So their context was Friday Night Magic, FNM, the organized play that's from the Magic Gathering scene. This is the number one game in all tabletop stores in Malaysia, and so I had to explain it to them with that context, and they got like, okay, so do you get points at the tournaments? I'm like, no, it's not a competition. So they explained what D&D is in the first place, and then very slowly tried, like I would run demos at stores to seed groups, and eventually we got large enough where I decided, okay, I ran a Facebook page, and as a Facebook page was a little bit hard to organize, so I started doing a group. And then that's why the group now, in the grander scheme of all the things I do, the D&D group is the biggest, simply because it started first. I think we're now, 700 something people?
Yeah.
From zero.
Yeah.
So since December 2014 to now, so that's slightly less than 3 years, we've gone up 700 people, so that's cool, I guess.
Hold on, so when I first met you, you actually just started doing this.
When was this? December 2014 or was it 2015?
When you were running Winter Clouds.
That's 2015.
2015, alright, so
Yeah,
that was 1
so
year.
we've been gone now for about a year at that point.
Alright.
So that was like literally the origin story. So when you start doing D&D stuff, the group changed from being adventurously into full-on D&D for any edition, because there were a lot of people who stuck on 4th edition, and you started having people crawl out of everyone crawl out of the woodwork. Like all the random groups in GM at home or whatever, and there'll be this one older ghost like, I remember playing D&D in 2nd edition, something like that, and like everyone, all the nerds started coming together. So that's like the rallying point, I guess. But when that started happening, people would go like, oh, I play other RPGs. So that's when I started RPG MY. So I started working with Pathfinder guys as well, started to curate that. And when we started doing RPG, I have some friends in board game stores and go like, why don't you support us too? So that's where we are. I've started to curate all the different games. So we've got board games, card games, because I'm also a Magic Gathering guy. Then there's RPG, and then there's of course the big elephant in the room, which is Warhammer. So you have to start doing wargaming as well. So yeah, you gotta be like.
So that's a story of.
Kind of. Long story short.
I have to say, we have come quite far as a community.
Not yet.
Relatively far. Because when I first came in, there was like
from
nobody.
a point of zero.
Yes, from a point of
But in
zero.
the grander scheme of things, I don't think so.
No, I mean we are getting there, right? Bit by bit.
It depends on who you ask. A lot of stores think that I've been doing this for a number of years now.
Yeah.
Why is it not self-sustaining? So you're probably seeing some of my ranty posts that goes like,
exactly.
why do I keep having to inject myself into it and all that? Can I get more help? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Why can't stores earn some money from this to help the industry sustain itself and all that? But it's like a weird question to answer. One is something to do with our income levels. Two, I think it's because there's lack of product in Malaysia. Three, I think there's lack of recognition for RPGs to begin with. But also
Definitely.
tabletop in the first place is very unrecognizable in the grander scheme of things in Malaysia. So there's a whole host of things to talk about.
It's
there.
growing. It's growing. But I did not come here. I did not invite you on to talk about tabletop. I want to talk about you.
Okay.
So,
This is one of the things I do.
Yeah. This is one of the thing. That's the thing I know you for.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Graham, you said your actual name?
Well, it's actually not Graham so much that it's okay. So we'll go into the origin story again. Actually.
Well.
So there are a few points of origin for the name.
Yeah.
One of them comes from so if you remember Corp Mall.
Yes.
Now it's known for that being like the second-hand market of
It is a
retro
market,
culture and all that.
The hipster capital.
We'll talk about the hipster thing.
We'll talk about it
We'll go
later.
back there. But when it first opened and I went there, apparently one of my friends recognized me from really far away, and I don't know how people do that. I think it's because I sound the same or look the same from a distance.
You have a certain figure. Were you wearing the same hair?
I think my hair has always looked like this.
Alright, there you go. There you go. I mean, who else has this hair? Right?
Anyone who doesn't comb their hair,
I don't comb my hair.
you need to let it grow out a bit more.
No, it doesn't. Mine doesn't come out like yours. Yours
I
comes
used
out.
to have that kind of hair.
This.
Yeah, it just need to grow out a lot more. Give it like 6 months.
I'm too lazy to do my hair, so I just wear the hair.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh.
I used to wear a beanie. You can find photos
Oh
of me.
no!
So like I'm actually wearing a Doctor Who shirt,
Yeah.
and I'm actually a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, a slight segue, but there are certain regenerations in my lifestyle.
Okay.
I used to wear like a leather jacket.
You okay?
Can you imagine me in leather
Oh,
jacket?
okay.
I used to do like hoodies as well,
okay.
the zip ones and the
Yeah,
pocket
yeah.
ones, so there's a different look. I tried the fedora before. I tried that hat before.
No.
I've tried beanies before. And I used to have super long blonde hair. I know people just freak out when they see that picture.
Can we not go into that? That's just not
Just
to
like different
not
looks.
to offend you, but that was disturbing. You look like a Final Fantasy character.
Probably.
Yeah. Not to say that's a bad thing. I don't like Final
Personality
Fantasy.
was consistent.
Oh yeah.
So it's the really weird part.
So what incarnation is this now?
I don't know. I would just I think I'll just go with number 29 because that's my age.
Okay. All right. So
Okay,
MCOM Mall.
the MCOM Mall, yeah.
So MCOM Mall.
So from really far away, one of
Yeah.
my friends, I think it was like 2 floors up even,
Yeah.
yelled, "Hey, cop you!" And then I was like, "What?" And then the guards came and everything because they thought that he was yelling in profanities or whatever.
Serious?
And, yeah. So like there was no context for that. So the guards were like freaking out, like, did he just insult someone, that kind of thing? And it's also because I called one of my friends, and back then we had landlines. This is a different friend anyway.
Yeah.
So I called, in case anyone watching this doesn't know what a landline is, because I have met people who don't know what that
Okay.
is.
These people.
Yep.
How old are they?
Younger than Magic the Gathering.
That's pretty young though.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're kind of like teenagers. I've met a teenager recently who doesn't know what a landline
Oh yeah,
phone
definitely.
is.
Definitely.
Which is a little
Yeah.
strange. But a landline phone is basically a box. You get a little thing on top. You pick it up. You punch the numbers in, just like a mobile phone to call people.
Imagine a phone about
it's
this
got a
size.
wire going into the
yeah, and there's a
wall.
wire. Yeah, if you can go back and watch an old Scorsese movie, they probably have it. Yeah.
But you didn't actually do that. You boop, you push numbers.
Oh, man, nostalgia. Continue.
I still have one at home.
Is it in use?
No.
There you go. There you go.
Only scammers try to call me.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, we still get people who go like, "Hi, I'm your relative from China, and I want to take your and I'm trying to inform you of your inheritance." Literally, I get the Nigerian prince scam
Still.
on my landline from
Still.
China.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so call the landline, and I basically say, "Hey, may I speak to so and so?" And the lady on the other side asks, "Who's this?" And I just nonchalantly answer, "Fuck you." And then everyone in the cafe is quiet again every time I say that.
Yes, every single time. Yeah.
And I say, I said, and she says, "What do you say?" And I said, "Cock you." No big deal, it's just my name anyway. Yes, that's my real name. And then, everyone gets surprised when I say that. And then she basically yells into the phone, "To hell with you!" And she slaps the phone down. No context, I didn't know what was going on. Later, the family will call me up and apologize and everything. But yeah, so that's my real name, Hamcock Yu. When you have a name like that, you kind of want a nickname.
You need one, isn't it?
The name isn't actually very bad if you translate it.
Like in a
actually.
Chinese setting, yes.
Yeah, I mean, do you speak Chinese at all?
No, I am
No?
banana.
So you're more banana than I am.
I'm not more banana, I am 100% banana.
So you're banana smoothie.
I'm still within the skin. I'm in the skin. Okay? I'm still attached to the tree. Okay? Yeah, this is all banana. I am.
The images.
Yes. Yes.
So who are your comb mates?
My co-mates. Well, if you go to Monash, you'll find a lot of people like that.
You're gonna take a picture of you together.
Yeah, we should.
attached to
We
a
should.
thing.
That's not important.
So the name actually isn't that bad.
No.
Because like the cock is actually like China Zhongguo. So it's cock, so it means country, and Yu is actually same as Lee Kuan Yew's Yu. So it means shining or light or something. So combine it translates to something like
Light of the
the
country.
light of the country, the nobility, so to speak. Which is, I think it's pretty cool.
It's
I
cool.
guess.
Damn, that's such a paladin name though.
I think it feeds to my ego. a little.
Does it? Are you
It's like
egotistic?
I am the nobility of the nation. I am the last hope for everything.
And yet your name is Kong Yu, so.
You combine those two, comedy and egoism. Yeah.
Comedic
I
egoism.
still haven't gone to do stand up yet. I will someday. Someday.
Do you need to? Do you want to?
So I did that thing at Vax.
Okay.
You might have seen the video. I watched myself.
No, it was very blurry. I didn't watch it. I watched it 1 second. I was like, no. I
Too much shaky cam.
Too much shaky cam.
I should download it and put it into YouTube Stabilizer. Maybe that'll work. I'll probably re-narrate it as well.
You can just
Yeah,
okay.
I watched it
Yeah.
and I ended up laughing at myself as if it was someone else. I don't know how you people put up with me. Just weird.
Okay.
But anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah. So that's like the cockyu part. And ham is actually ham.
Ham.
Because it's the Cantonese ham.
Yeah.
And fun fact, that actually my clan name. There is a temple in Hong Kong that worships Gong Tang. I think it's Tam Kong, something like that. Basically, there's a god in my clan. So I'm basically a demigod. It's the god of knowledge and the sea. And what makes it even funnier is that my grandpa's name translates more or less to rain. Yeah. So I'm like this running joke at this point.
Do you know if there's any mythology attached to your ancestor? Like any specific mythology? Like did he save like a town from a...
I don't know. I
No?
actually haven't checked that specific god, but I've checked the history of the clan. We were apparently a nation of scholars and smart people. We're basically smartasses in long time ago China before Shi Huangdi, and then neighboring nation full of warriors. Like imagine like the nerds and the jocks, and they got sick of our shit, and they just conquered us, and we did the best thing possible. We evaded it and just ran away. That's why when you go to Korea, go to Japan, go to Taiwan, there are people with that clan name. So I think in Japan, there is actually Japanese people with that surname. There are Korean people with the surname, and they use the same character as well, which is funny, I guess.
Okay.
But the clan has now dispersed. But if you look at Wikipedia, everyone seems to be like, I don't know, a scholar or professor or someone in some industry or whatever.
I have a
Smart asses.
I have a question about it. Is it like a genetic thing or is it more of like a family thing?
I think
like,
I think the moment any of us learn about the origin of our clan and our own names, the ego feeds in, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy after that.
I have no idea anything about my clan.
Have you looked it up?
I have not looked it
You
up.
should. It's probably hilarious that it's probably self-affirmation. It's kind of like the zodiac, you know. It's a common experience for everyone.
Yeah.
You read it and go, yeah, that's me. But it could also be anyone else.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a sensible person to realize that. Yeah.
But what's your sign?
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Alright. So what are Scorpios like again?
I don't know, and actually,
Neither do I. Actually, I don't
It's
get
like,
it.
as far as I'm concerned, scorpions are what, creatures of the desert. And I kind of like read Dune when I was really young.
There you go.
So that feeds into my
There you
whole
ego self-ideal.
slightly like one of my descendants is going to be the Kwisatz Haderach.
I don't get that reference, but okay. Alright.
You gotta read it. Dune is like the Lord of the Rings of sci-fi. I would contend.
Okay, well,
Yeah, you have to try
I'm
it.
not a sci-fi guy though, so. Anyway,
It's not. It's more like a space opera. It just got more fantasy elements than science.
okay, so it's more like Star Wars.
It's just
It's
Lord
like
of the
Star
Rings
Wars.
in space.
Lord of the Rings in space.
Basically, kind of. Without the ring. But people still get these weird visions because they eat stuff. The spice must flow. Yeah.
Okay,
Really
I don't
deviating again.
I knew all those words individually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to your story.
Alright. So yeah, the name. So the name actually has, the specific name Grey has a few points of origin. One of them is possibly because I used to wear a grey color uniform.
A grey colour
in
uniform,
school
yeah.
because I was a librarian. This continues to feed into my nerd cred, I think. Yeah. The other part was that, have you heard of the face on Mars?
I have heard of it, yes.
Basically, and pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
Do you know the author of those things?
No, I do not.
I
do, but okay.
Well, I shit you not, the name of the author is
Yeah.
Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock.
There you go.
So yeah, it's a
There you
conspiracy
go.
theory.
The origin of grey hair.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Not
If,
really.
if you ever play City of Mist, you should play as yourself.
Yeah, I do. A lot of RPGs, I play as some version of myself.
No, but you're literally yourself, and
Oh.
your ancestor has awakened inside you, giving you powers.
So that's the Kwisatz Haderach then.
if you want to, you know. By the way,
I gotta get you to read these.
do you still play? Do you actually play RPGs anymore, or do you just?
Very rarely do. I GM a lot. I've even sold my PHP because I literally don't play anymore. Like I think I can count how many times I've played this year. It's less than 10.
Let's talk about what you do.
Okay. I think we kind of like trying to talk about that, but maybe have a slightly better way of doing it.
No, I think you sort of went into Facebook analytics. Why don't we start with that? Okay, I recognize you as a community manager, but
Well,
that's not.
just one
That's just
aspect
one
of
aspect.
it. Yeah, I like if you're gonna go with that kind of terminology, community manager, I'd rather go with something like creative planner.
Creative planner.
Like it says on my Tinder profile, Twitter, Facebook, I use the same thing.
Your former Tinder.
Well, it's still there.
Okay.
Like I actually do a really weird thing on Tinder where it's not to hook up with people, it's to find other D&D people. You find that one person who recognizes it and go like, oh my god, I've never met a D&D person in real life. So it goes back to that origin story thing we were talking about, how it's so hard to find other D&D people in Malaysia. And even in the weirdest places, we will find each other we'll drag them into the community and just dump them there. They'll find a group to play with and I'll never see them again.
But D&D, would you say it's a big part of what you do, or is it just like one
I
of the
think
things?
it's okay. So when I came back to Malaysia, I really wanted to play games.
Yeah.
I nearly went back and joined the Scrabble community at first. Yes, I'm actually used to
There
want
you
to be
go.
a pro Scrabbler. I used to be a coach for my college Scrabble team.
There you go. Super nerd. Super nerd. brain, yeah.
super crazy nerd. I also used kind of like a weird segue, but in Help University College, I used to run the Help Indoor Games Society. This is back in 2006, 2007, really long time ago.
Wow.
A decade ago.
Wow.
And in this group, we had a Magic Gathering was the biggest thing we did. We even had like a college team for Magic Gathering. We also had a Scrabble team. We had chess teams. We even had DDR as a regular thing. We were really cool.
Cool.
In hindsight, everybody thinks it's cool now. Whenever I tell this story,
That is true.
Whenever people hear about it now, I'm like, you had DDR in college?
That's
You had a club
true.
to play that?
That's
You had a
true.
chess team? And you had foosball players and pool players and Magic Gathering players and chess players and Scrabble players and Go players, Chinese chess players?
Back then, that was the nerd stuff, but nowadays, like everybody's getting into like board games and.
Well, we also had board games, so we also had designer board games. I literally ran the club to introduce board games to people as well, and so I kind of like I wanted to rejoin one of these communities when I came back, but eventually I went back to D&D because that was the most recent thing I got into. Prior to returning to Malaysia, I only played D&D for 6 years, but I DM'd only for like a year prior. So technically, I'm not that experienced, but I came back just jump in there and then do it anyway.
I think by now, because the volume of games you've ran,
I'm probably experienced.
You're probably experienced.
But yeah, so I tried to join the community, and the weird thing, picking D&D was a good thing.
Yeah.
Because when you try and do community building, what you want is a way for the community to keep coming back together. So in other countries, like in the UK, we used to do socials where people hang out and meet and chat and all that. That doesn't really happen here. It's not part of our culture. People go to the mall and sit around the table and not talk to each other or just eat rather than converse. Like what we're doing here is really weird. We're probably a little bit westernized, that's why we're able to do that.
I think everybody's kind of doing it.
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. Everyone's on their laptops. And everyone's eating something or drinking something.
Let's not stare. Let's not stare.
We've already freaked out the cafe a number of times. What was I gonna go? Right, so D&D is a good thing because it forces people to gather around a table and do a shared activity.
And you have to be engaged with one
Dating
another.
tips, everybody says watch a movie because you share the experience rather than staring at each other. Then you have something to talk about together later. So the same thing, when you have D&D, you have a shared experience. It's something for you to freak out about later. That's the shared experience. It's a group think kind of thing. So D&D was good because if I had done anything else like Scrabble or whatever, it's a 1v1 thing. It becomes very competitive. So when you choose D&D as a community building thing, that becomes a very important building block to the
Fantastic
entire tabletop community as well. Because you have a core group of people who just want to get together and do something rather than talking smack about each other. People still do that, but not know that much. Yeah.
Well, it depends.
It depends.
It depends. So, as a community manager, is D&D the only thing? I'm pretty sure you do. You also do.
No. So you knew me, like you mentioned, the whole D&D thing, adventurously, December 2015.
Yeah.
I've only been community manager at the time. We went into RPG, and I also do things for the board game community now. We have not done a meetup yet, but not at least not in Klang Valley. We try to do stuff in other states so far, but we'll probably do one in Klang Valley eventually. I'm involved with talking to a lot of stores and events. Last year we had 5 events, I think, tabletop events, and this year we have none so far, which is really weird.
RPG or tabletop?
Tabletop. Well, the RPG goes into events where there's tabletop, and you know how my setup is usually like a table with all the stuff on it. I also put some board games there now, so kind of like I approach people like the label I go with now, which I have not. I'm in the process of branding properly, but it's called Kaki Tabletop.
Yes.
No association with everyone else uses kaki in front. That was like a thing they wanted. They want to feel local and all that. You know, literally find more kaki to play with.
You could try Tangan tabletop. No.
It doesn't make sense because when you think about it this way, there's actually a cultural reason why that happens. When you say tangan tabletop, hands, right? These are people who are hands-on. They're doing stuff. So these are people who are lending you a helping hand. So maybe my assistants for the events might use that name. But the other way around is kaki tabletop. It's usually like when you're free and hanging around, you sit there, shake legs. You know, that's where the imagery comes from.
Like
and of soldiers, you know, these are your people who come to hang out with you. That makes sense. So, or rather, you just end up having this weird amalgamation. You go like kaki tangan, hands and legs. Okay, weird. But anyway,
that's weird.
So D&D is actually D&D and RPG is a pretty important piece to the whole puzzle of building out this thing that I do. How I basically, because by going to, it's kind of like. Think of it this way, when you have tribes of people together around a chieftain or whatever it is, they all listen to the story of these great battles around a fireplace. It's the same thing. We gather around to talk about D&D. So by them getting used to it, you build up the communities and then they seed out the stories to other people and all that. So it's kind of like a literal, physical, social network. And when you know how to do that, you can do the same thing online as well, I suppose. Like you think about it, when you tell stories around a fireplace, you hit certain beats, you tell certain parts of stories. The way you might tune it to the specific audience, but the beats are always the same. So you can do the same thing on social media. This brings in the whole thing about metadata. In the same way you teach your audience specific ideas, like the greatest heroic stories of the world are always the same thing: the hero origin,
the hero's journey,
the 7 parts of the story, things like that.
Well, before postmodernism.
But we have established new ways of doing it. You always have superheroes' parents always die. Something tragic always happens, and then they come to save the world, something like that, or they overcome great adversity about themselves.
That's classic. That is classic.
It's become classic now. It was not always that classic, I think. But yeah, so when you talk about the idea of a physical social network that builds in the whole social media thing as well, which is another thing I do. So going back to the whole community manager, creative director thing. Creative planner is actually an amalgamation of 2 words. So I used to work in a public relations agency, as you might have heard. Not sure. So that's part of the reason why I GM a lot in Comic Smart is because I used to work in an office that's inside Mid Valley, so I could just go after work. So every Wednesday, I would rock up to my office. You remember I used to have a suitcase? I would always rock up to my office with a suitcase. And everyone will ask, "Oh, you're going on holiday tomorrow?" No, it's just Wednesday.
Oh yes, that suitcase.
It's D&D Wednesday. Yes. So in a kind of way, I got everyone in my office to know what D&D was.
Any of them interested?
No, none of them have played D&D. But full disclosure, when I was in public relations, one of my clients was Magic the Gathering. It's like a nerd dream.
So it's great for your great client and.
It was interesting. I got a lot of insight into how and why Wizard Coast does certain things in Asia and why Malaysia doesn't have D&D and all that. I can't really tell the reason, but it's something to do with business decisions, I suppose, demographics.
You can't say it because
I mean, it's P and C between the client and the agency
Yes.
working. This is how business works. But I know certain things which kind of helped a little bit, but not really. But in my line of work doing that, you learn a few things about how because in PR you want to raise awareness on certain products and people and things, and I had to research. So we were like segueing a little bit again, but in the agency I was known as kind of like the millennial guy, because literally every client will want to do the same thing.
How old are you again?
29,
And how old were you then?
27?
Okay,
27.
million.
around
Okay, that's a family.
ish. Yeah. But they always describe things like, we want to sell our products to young people between this age. They're urbanites, they probably speak English, they are more willing to share information, things like that, and they're not, they're like a little bit more intellectual, whatever. They understand clever ads. Yeah, that's basically millennial. Eventually, everyone in the room just point towards me. So my job was just representing the demographic in a weird way.
Do you actually? Do you really?
Well, I live in the city. I've traveled the world, so I probably know a lot about other cultures and all that. I'm willing to share a lot. I overshare.
Fair enough.
I'm of the right age, kind of like young adult kind of age. They think I have disposable income because I like nice things, I dress well or whatever it is. They think.
Yeah,
we all know we're just hobos at this point.
That is a key element of the Bohemian culture.
Yeah.
We look rich, but really we are poor.
Well, actually, sorry for segueing again further
No,
further away. We'll come back to that
That is
again.
the point of all this.
Yeah, I actually attended a talk in my uni where apparently one of my alumni said this. I forgot his name, but he said like, live every day of your life like it's the last day of your life. Because
such a
otherwise
cliche.
you're gonna have, no, it's not a cliche because it makes sense. Otherwise you're gonna have, like how you buy a nice suit or a nice set of clothes, you keep in your cupboard to wear for that special day, your birthday or a celebratory day or whatever. But why keep it there when you don't know when you're gonna die? Just treat every day like it's a nice day. So just wear your best clothes all the time, or wear the way you want to look. So that's why I dress the way I do.
Just be yourself.
Which is it's a little bit nihilistic and morbid, but yeah.
Is it really though? Is it really? It sounds more humanist. It's much more humanist.
Well, humanism is more about treating everyone with some sense of fairness and equality, whereas nihilism is that nothing matters, we're all going to die anyway, so why not just... Well, I prefer optimistic nihilism. Everything in the world is going to end, nothing matters in the grander scheme of the universe, so why not make mistakes? Why not do your best for you? I think that's a very positive message.
That is pretty much. Yeah, I think we're on the same page here.
Yeah. So wait. So backtracking a little bit.
Where were we again?
Millennial reference points in agency. So in that line of work, we the creative. Well, I worked with the creative director and account managers and all that. I was trying to position myself as a creative planner. I always had that vague position, even in the agency. People don't know how to describe what I do. They say I'm associate executive, but we never really nailed down what this guy does, because I'll be kind of like a researcher. I'll also be the guy doing the social media community management. I'll also be doing the usual executive thing, reading all the newspapers, going through news and things like that.
I'll say that's a very, even that your job and whatever it was, it's a very millennial concept. We're going into an age where everything's going to be a bit more...
Not really. I don't think, not everyone in the company did the same thing I did.
Your position in particular.
Oh, the way I behaved.
The way you did your thing, it's a very millennial position.
I wouldn't say it's millennial. I think it's always been a thing to be a jack of all trades, learn as much as you can kind of culture, because
has it always been?
Think about it this way. A lot of people who, I hate bringing up these kind of things because it brings success bias. We only hear stories about successful people and we never hear about all the failures, but a lot of people who are interesting to us tend to be jack of all trades. They know a lot of stuff. So I think about Leonardo da Vinci. He looks into mechanical things, physics, the arts, biology. He brings his art capabilities to talk about the sciences as well. He does anatomy of people and whatever. Yeah, I can keep your phone.
I need to. Okay, continue.
So it's the
a bit like James Franco too, right?
Kind of. You need to know a little bit of everything, because so I always believe in learning the breadth of things first before you can go deep. Because if you go too deep into one thing, you get tunnel vision. You only learn about one thing. So when you start to talk to different clients, especially when you're work in the creative industry as I do, you can't assume that all your clients are going to be like you.
No.
A lot of them are not going to know what you're talking about. So you need to just hear and all that. In a weird kind of way, I probably studied the 2 degrees which are most useful for doing what I do now. I did computer science, which when you're a software engineer, you do things like requirements gathering.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're programming for. Yes, you're doing programming, but you don't know what your software is being used for. So you always need to talk to the right kinds of clients and ask them things like, what is this for? Who is this for? What kind of UI is it? What age group? What level of usability are you talking about? Blah blah blah. Design the whole algorithm and the user process and all that. That discipline carried over to when I studied product design as well, because after that we started to talk about things like where's the material from, what is the ethos of your company, what is the key message you're trying to communicate, who's going to use this, is there reusability after that, things like that. So by combining all this, you take all those disciplines and because I guess I can talk well. A lot of people say that.
The fact that you do talk makes it better than people who don't talk.
I don't know. I was not always like this. You kind of learn to do this.
Is this a survival skill?
Not really. I think so. Going back to that university thing that I used to do, I never really talk very much.
Yeah.
But when I found a topic I really like to talk about, I started to talk about it.
Yes.
But then again, because I kept doing it over and over again, and I eventually became a community guy. So I've run so many societies in my lifetime. Like I used to run the Help University College Indoor Game Society, short form HIGS. Then we also run the Japanese Cultural Society of Help.
Yeah.
No, it's actually not. No, we didn't do that.
You didn't?
So I brought in my Japanese language sensei to actually teach language classes. We also brought in a karate instructor. We did Japanese film screenings and things like that.
So it's an actual Japanese club,
Yeah.
not like a wannabe.
Well, eventually people who joined it were weeaboos anyway. Fun fact, after I left college, both of these clubs were inherited by the similar group of people. They disbanded it because they didn't know how to manage it, and those people eventually organized C2AG, C2H. So I am the origin story of those things.
Well, there you go. There you go. C2H
Superhero
is
origin. I don't take credit for it because I kind of a little bit, because if I didn't do what I did, then the administration of health would not have allowed them to do what they did. Because I was there for the first C2H. There was like one table with board games there. There were quite a lot of cosplay and all that, but I don't think the administration would let them do it if they didn't get used to me just setting up board games here and there. So there was like the vanguard, so to speak, but no one remembers this.
If anybody hates C2H or has any misgivings against C2H,
I have actually.
let's not go into that. Let's not do that. But if you have any misgivings against C2H, come to him. You can blame him. He takes full responsibility.
No, it's not so much misgivings. We actually went there recently, and I'm not sure if you noticed this, but I was running a D&D demo for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
One of them had it on their shirt, "Notice me, senpai." So as a joke, I asked, where do you study or what do you do? They told me that they ran the Otaku Anime Guild, which is basically which is basically like they call themselves the Japanese Cultural Club, and they wanted to introduce tabletop games to their thing. So I'm like, well then, I am your senpai. So, and I told them, and their eyes just widened.
Are they in the group now?
So I recently went to their college and I told them the whole committee the origin story, and I handed them the blog I used to run, which is at this point 10 years old. And I hope they revive it. I hope they take back the whole club name, literally use back the name we used to use, and that'll be super cool. But they're getting the shit together to do something. We might see a resurgence or something like that.
Let's not talk about Japanese stuff.
We're going round.
It's fine. Let's not talk about Japanese stuff. I'll get really misogynistic against weeaboos.
Oh, yeah. How misogynistic against weeaboos?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Misogynist is a person who doesn't like females, isn't it? But the majority of weeaboos are not female, unless
maybe misogynist isn't a word.
Unless you count the yaoi fangirls. So
let's see. Let's not go into that.
I am a massive otaku. I
I know.
still am. So
yeah.
like it's this weird amalgamation of so many geeks.
The weird thing is, a lot of my friends are otakus, but I don't like otaku stuff. It's just me.
Think about it in a different context. So this might be a very bohemian hipster way of saying it, but Japan. So I'm an Anglophile.
Yeah, I am
I
too.
think a lot of people know that. We're literally wearing a Doctor Who shirt.
Yeah, they flash it. Yeah.
So Japan and the UK are on opposite sides
Yeah.
of a wider continent. They're both island nations and they both love tea.
Okay, anyway.
Think about it that way. They both tried to build empires. One slightly better. Okay, they're both terrible, but
Debatable.
debatable. Both their flags have lines coming out from the middle.
Let's change the subject.
Okay, but anyway, they
Yep.
have. There was a time when they both admired each other.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, if you like Anglophilic culture, you probably also kind of like Japanophile culture. The language, the things they do, how polite they are. Think about it. Yet both of them have fantastic traits. They have more in common than you realize.
It's like the same coin, same two sides of the same
Yeah,
coin.
in fact, when you go to the UK, MCM, one of the biggest con in the UK, like half the audience there is cosplaying anime shit, and the other half are like superheroes and Western comics and whatnot. So it's like a good mix, and that's what we don't see here. We see massively otaku stuff. Like I was a massive otaku back in the early 2000s because Comic Fiesta was just starting, and now it's gone mainstream at this point.
It is
So to bring balance to the force, I've switched over to be more of an Anglophile.
I know people
This
like
is very purposeful. So
people like me don't go to those sort of things because we're like,
trying to infiltrate it a little bit.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I've gone to Comic Fiesta and I found a few Doctor Who cosplays.
oh,
There are a few. Like the best one I've seen, this girl in blue tudung cosplaying the TARDIS with like a thing on.
I think I saw
She's
that.
really good.
Yeah, that was so cool. I actually left the group, the Doctor Who group.
why?
I didn't watch the new season. Everybody was talking spoilers, so I was
okay.
like, oh no.
We only give like a 1 week embargo, unfortunately.
I know, so I had to.
You need to watch it.
I
Before the Christmas special, I have the year.
I have assignments. I have to do this. So
I had assignments too in uni. we'll get into that in a bit. My whole stupid uni life.
okay, well, one thing I'm interested in is that you, as a community manager, would you think that you are good at it because you had to put yourself in a situation where you had to do it, therefore you learn by doing it, or were you already good at this?
Yes and no. Okay, so like I mentioned in uni, I didn't finish like the string of societies I used to run, or
That's
be a
not
major
good,
part.
that's not good.
Well, it's useful because when you ask me how and why I put myself in
Okay,
a position,
let's
because
go with that then.
that has something to do with it
Alright,
actually. So in University of Manchester, I was part of the Japanimation Society.
We
You can guess, not really, but yeah.
Okay.
Then I was also part of the Board Games Club, which is where I first
Yeah.
played D&D.
Yeah, that's good.
And then when I went to Leeds University, Leeds Metropolitan University, I founded two societies actually. One was called the Leeds Metropolitan Oriental Networking Society, short form Lemons,
Okay.
and the other one was called MOVIC, the Modern Visual Culture Society.
Yes.
Which might sound like such a hipster thing to say,
It is, yeah.
but the origin of it actually comes from a manga. And our logo has a reference to that manga. The manga is called Genshiken, which is a literal translation of the Modern Visual Cultural Society. It's a society that combines people who like animation, comics, games, and miniatures, and cosplay. So that's literally what it was about. So when I was doing those things, because I was used to the UK idea of like doing socials a lot, meeting up and all that, and using Facebook to organize events and all that, I learned a few things that it's useful to have persistent information. So I would prefer using Facebook over WhatsApp. A lot of people tell me like a lot of the D&D community, tabletop community already meets up and chats using WhatsApp. I disagree with that utility because no one can stumble upon you. You need Facebook so that when you leave something there, it's like a breadcrumb that people can get towards you. That's why I use a lot of metadata and everything. I post geolocation, and also like you tag the right game so that anyone who likes that game, Facebook might recommend the post to them, something like that by association. In computer science, we learn something from AI. Never assume you have all the data. it's useful to know that.
Well, that applies to anything else, right? Humanity.
It sounds like such an obvious thing,
Yeah.
but it's not an obvious
Yes.
thing really, because everyone thinks they know everything. They act like a smart ass all the time. It's not. You're always learning things. There's too much to know. You can't know everything.
Exactly.
Like estimates put the human brain at like what, 1 terabyte?
I think it's much more though.
It's probably much more than that, but we don't fully know how the brain works. But we can estimate that it's several terabytes or whatever it is.
But there's this thing about science, right? We don't know a lot of things, which is why
We
we
can
need
make a
science.
good guess.
We can make a good guess, which is why we need science. But science, I don't think it's not the whole answer. You know,
It would,
it's a way to find out answers.
I mean, science is a weird way. Like, I don't qualify science as the knowledge of
Yes.
things. It's more about applying the scientific
Exactly.
method, not so much the knowledge of things. But it helps build the knowledge using scientific method.
Back to the,
But anyway, the community building thing, it was useful being in those societies because I got to see how other people did. So a lot of the things I do is actually copying similar methods and adapting it to Asian one. Lemons is a very interesting example of how and why I learned certain things. Because when I was helping with Movic, which is like a geek kind of thing, we found out like people wanted to talk online first before they meet in real life. Because let's face it, a lot of them are introverts. They want to meet online first, or they discover it through digital means first.
Most
But
people
when I organized Lemons, I realized that these are all Asians. They behave in a certain way.
Yeah.
So they wanted to be invited specifically. They like one-on-one chats. So when you finally do what I do in Leisure Kaki Tabletop now, that you marry these two things. One is with Movic is that you need the key pillars of the community. So if you look at Kaki Tabletop, the key pillars are RPG, board games, card games, and wargaming. You break people down into these categories and you realize these are specific tribes with very little crossovers. So then how do you deal with these crossovers? Then you look at the Lemons model. In Lemons we had communities broken down by nationality or ethno-cultural types. So we have the Chinese community, we have the Thai community, we have the Malaysian community, and so on and so forth. So you do the same thing here, where you approach community leaders.
Talking about the unification of tribes.
Well, I wouldn't say unification, because when you say unification, it sounds like you're eliminating any subgroups and kind of like shoving them all together.
Yeah.
And I think people have a resistance to that. They don't want to lose their own little tribes.
Don't want to become part of the hive mind collective.
I think I prefer the collective actually makes sense. You bring people together, but they still can exist as their own unitary parts. Kind of like not to do the Shi Huangdi thing, but to do the Mongol horde thing. So in the Mongol hordes, every horde or every tribe still exists on their own, kind of like that. Rather Shi Huangdi, you force everyone to have the same culture. So it's more the other way than that.
Using a more mainstream analogy, I would say it's Jon Snow and the wildlings.
Wait, how is the Mongol horde not mainstream?
It's not anymore. Mulan came out so many years ago.
We are all related to someone in the Mongol Empire.
Yeah, but people are more familiar with Game of Thrones.
This year, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'm publishing it this year.
Okay.
Anyway, so this is what you intend to do with the community in general.
I think kind of like bring people together. So when I first started, I mean, this didn't really happen for the D&D community because it was kind of like a vacuum.
Yeah.
And you find the individual community leaders to join the community and bring their own people and add in things like that. I had to teach people social media habits, like we just discussed just now. Taking pictures of your game and posting it up, doing game reports, using graphics, setting up events rather than just regular posts, and sharing it out to your personal stuff and all that. And if you can, on the day itself where you're at a store, put up a little sign, use a DM screen to attract attention and talk to people who may be curious, things like that. Help evangelize. Like, think about it this way. It's like, okay, so this is going to go a personal opinion. Yeah, in a weird way. So I see religious people as just the weird, just another group of nerds. Think about it this way. Comic book fans obsess over a book and they argue over what is canon. That's literally what religious people do. So the same thing. We can do the same thing. We do the Mormon thing. Knock on people's doors. Hi, may I tell you about our Lord and Savior? Knock knock. Hi, may I tell you about our great Lord Gygax? Would you like to roll this dice?
Well, and in a way,
Do you need new friends? Come to church. Would you like new friends? Come and play a game with us. Do the same thing. I wear this or I wear a waistcoat. It has a certain uniform to it. This is my priest robes.
fun fact, I'm currently sitting in my sexualities class. Taking a sexualities class in my uni. And 1 week they're talking about BDSM communities. And they look at all the traits, the reasons why people go to use BDSM communities, and I was like, this is the exact same reason why me and my friends attend CF.
Yeah, I mean,
It's exactly the same.
I have had people tell me why they join church or go to mosque.
Yeah.
It's because they just need to meet new
Community.
people. But that's the thing. There's actually a criticism I would level at the Asian culture, because in Asia, what social constructs exist for people to mingle and meet other people? Because outside of school, outside of university, if you never went to those things, how do you meet people other than at work or your parents introduce you to another family? You literally can't. So
Even for homeschool, especially for homeschool.
especially homeschoolers. So I think of what I do in the D&D community and RPG and tabletop gaming as doing the Lord's work. I'm not religious, but it's a fun way of saying
Yeah.
it, because I'm providing a platform that is culturally neutral.
Yeah.
Anyone can come in and play games. You may not be a hardcore gamer, but you can finally talk to people.
Yeah.
And not just have these weird usernames and avatars you have online. Otherwise, like, think about how Singapore gets together. They talk smack about each other. They have that website to chat about rumors and all that. And a lot of people at universities, they have these
Confessions pages.
confessions pages,
Confession
and
pages.
meme pages. I'm like, can we do things in a different way rather than talking about other people? Because I believe in the thing that great people talk about ideas, not about each other and other people, not necessarily.
Well, great people. I mean, great people do talk about those things. Yeah.
So it's the whole come together and talk about concepts, play games. Because when you play board games, sometimes you have to throw reality out the window because
Yeah,
it's this
definitely.
weird abstraction going on. So like my games, we talk about the physics of a magic spell. Does it travel at the speed of light or the speed of sound?
And from there you homebrew, right?
Kind of. I rule it travel at the speed of light.
Okay.
So my counter spells work slightly differently. So
Let's not go into that. We don't want to alienate our audience.
I'm happy to convert more people.
Which is why I got you on. To explain how the community works.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
when you do that and you think about community leaders or
Yeah.
the like cell groups, that's basically what like RPG groups are like.
Yeah.
That's what board game kind of groups are like. They meet up to play
Yeah,
games,
yeah.
or Warhammer groups. They sit around a table and roll dice and argue about things, and they sit and paint. It's like Buddhists creating those sand paintings,
Yeah.
or like the Hindus making the rice patterns and all that.
Or children getting together to play Lego or Lego.
Basically, it's the same thing. It's
community.
like I mentioned just now, a shared experience.
Shared experience.
That you can then reference later, and that has callbacks over across all space and time, as long as people are alive, actually. Which is like sorry, I want to segue into this. Have you heard of
It's fine.
the idea of the noosphere?
No.
So this is where I pull out my really weird creds in the UK, and I'm sure whoever that watches in the UK is going to somehow look this up and remember it. Back in the UK, in Manchester, I used to be part of something called Social Media Cafe, and we would sit down and literally talk about social media concepts. This was like 2010, 2011, around there, where these things were very new to the world. And we had talks with, we sat down and talked to people from the BBC, things like that. It's usually someone like me calling a concept, and everyone just round tables, chats about an idea with a hashtag to continue conversation on Twitter, online. And we did like a little mini meetup inside a bigger event called Future Everything. And I wanted to bring up this concept called the cybersphere. At the time, I didn't know the concept already existed. But currently, I think the right way to talk about it is called the noosphere. Now, if you actually search online and look for something called, there was this article someone wrote to talk smack about me and the event. They called it Student Media Cafe, How Social Media Industry in the UK is Crashing, or something like that.
It was directed towards you.
Directed specifically towards
Wow.
me. And she was, surprise, surprise, worked in a public relations company. and it was a nightmare for them. People defended me in the comments and things like that. But the idea was this is like a forum to discuss ideas. And she was like, oh, if people don't know what they're talking about, they shouldn't come. I'm like, no, this is a discussion. You come up with an idea. If you realize that this idea already exists, then you bring it up. That's what intellectual discussions are about, but she didn't get that. But anyway, so when you, what I want to talk about during that topic was that what the cybersphere was, you imagine the Earth. The Earth is made of, well, Earth, that's the lithosphere. The oceans are made of water, that's the hydrosphere. The air is made of the atmosphere. Any wave that travels through the Earth is an earthquake. A wave that travels through the hydrosphere is a tsunami. A wave that travels through the atmosphere is a storm.
And for the noosphere?
So the noosphere, translation for that is actually from an 18th century concept. It's actually really old. A French philosopher thought about the idea that what if there was a sphere of knowledge around the Earth? Hypothetically, what is this material made of?
The internet.
No, it's made of people. Because think about it, any book, any computer is just a pile of atoms and electrons. Without a human being to interpret that, it's just a pile of atoms.
Goddamn.
So, and any wave that travels through the noosphere is literally the wave of information traveling through the world. Like back in, I think 2014, or was it 2012? There was an earthquake in South America. And people found out about the earthquake in Brazil. It hit Chile first. And people in Brazil found out about it and they felt it. They found out about it before they felt it, because information travels at the speed of light through the internet. So they learned about the earthquake before it hit them, a few seconds before that. So that's literally the wave of information traveling around the world. And you think about it, Richard Dawkins' concept on memes, the real meaning of memes, by the way, and I definitely want to tell people about that. Memes were actually originally coined to mean the virality of information, the same way how genes, genetic information, is transmitted through organisms. So in the same way, that's actually where the word comes from. So when something is a meme, if you compact the information into its genetic structure, its core concept, and when you pass it to the next person, it's viral enough that it passes to the next person. That's how a wave of information travels around the world. So in the same way that the genes, the genetic code of viruses travels around the world through the biosphere, we have memes traveling through the noosphere. So I'm infecting you with this idea right now. Anyone who watches this video is being infected, and you're gonna pass it on.
That's such a cyberpunk thing. That's I'm imagining it right now, like informing, like you, like.
And that means the noosphere is restricted to our planet right now, unless we send more human. We exited the Earth for a short while. We went to the moon for a bit. But the moment human beings land on Mars and start spreading out, the noosphere will begin infecting another sphere. Spreading out. Our radio signals is a positive impact on the universe.
And when we meet aliens,
well, hopefully they pick up the meme.
they'll just find goggles and like suicidal.
But then they know about it. It's like, think about it this way: things in museums, physical artifacts, are physical manifestations of a concept that was transmitted from one human being to another. It's just a solidification, and you hope that when you write something down, another intelligent creature will pick it up and retranslate that meme into something. It's like you know the Jurassic Park thing when you pick up a mosquito, when you pull out the genetics and you bring those things alive again. It's the same thing. It's like a culture died, they left artifacts, we rediscover it and bring the culture back alive. The one primary example of that is Viking chess. Nobody played Viking chess for a long ass time. Someone rediscovered the pieces in an archaeological site, they reinvented the wheel and they found out how to play it, and now I'm one of the people who actually play the game. Naftafel is called.
I guess you could liken this to Norse mythology and Marvel Norse mythology.
I don't think it's anything to do with that.
No, I mean, it's a reinterpretation, right? Am I on the right path? Am I getting
completely off? But that will be interesting. That will be interesting.
Okay. I'm trying to like.
Well, I actually learned about Viking chess for Naftafel when I went to the Viking Museum in York, in England. And a lot of people forget that the Vikings actually landed in England and actually conquered a bit of it. The Vikings were a major power in Europe for a while, and they have encampments everywhere, and they left their artifacts everywhere. So they left their chess pieces in York, and that's how it turned into a thing.
So that's an example of it.
That's an example. Right. So how do we do that for what we do?
How do we do that? That's your final question.
I guess part of it.
How do we do that for what we do?
Leave traces.
Right. We are running out of battery.
Okay.
One final quick thing before it runs out. What's your advice? towards people concerning what you do, community building? What the number one big
So
idea?
I've given this quote to a lot of people. I think do the cool thing.
Do the cool.
How do you qualify something as cool? Because you can tell a story. And if you can do something cool and you can tell a story, you transmit that information across. Or someone sees it and they concoct their own story and retransmit it. Think about what I just talked about. That's why it was so important I bring it up.
There you go. That's my motto right there.
Yeah.
Stories to chew on.
For the cool thing, right?
For the cool. Wow. Okay, we're out of battery.
Okay.
We're not out of time, but out of battery. I only have one working battery because of technical difficulties. But thank you for coming and coming on my show. You had to like travel how many km?
There's the same distance from my house to the other end of Kuala Lumpur. It's where this place is.
Yeah. So there you go. Thank you for making the effort. I think this is probably my highest rated one. Yeah. Because you have the most rage. Yeah, you do. Compared to my other guests.
Don't do that. Eventually, if everyone will have their time in this lifeline eventually.
So here we are. Signing off. My name is Sam Mui. This has been Babblegum with Sam Mui, and on Babblegum we have had Graham talking with me on Babblegum.
Babblegum.
Fantastic. Alright.
You should really get you.
I actually want if I ever get
You know that YouTube show where the hot chili sauce?
yeah.
Bubblegum.
When I get
True well, we are both playing.